Speaking Myanmar, Lessons for English-Speaking Learners. Future tense particles. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to say that you're going to do something in the future or that something's going to happen in the future. You'll also learn how to refine that phrase to indicate that you're going to do it right away. Lastly, there are some things that you expect are going to happen in the future, but really as no result of your intentions. When that's the case, another helping particle is sometimes used. So in my lesson on affirmative particle, you learned that verbs are not conjugated in the way they are in many languages, including English. The root verb form always stays the same. Verb tense is achieved with the use of small word particles attached to the verb. You'll recall that this particle, the affirmative particle, te or de, is added to words like to come, to go, to eat, all of them verbs. Now remember that the particle does not mean to, because to come is included in the root verb la. It also doesn't always mean present tense. It could be past tense as well, but it will never apply to something you'll do or will happen in the future. That's what I'm going to discuss in this lesson. Now remember, I said that verb tense is changed by adding different particles to the root verb. For future tense, that particle is me. So using the same words we just discussed, by replacing the final affirmative particle with the future tense particle me, we get la me will come, or toi me will go, or sa me will eat. So basically, this becomes the sentence ending particle. Remember, you have to have one, and it will always mean you're going to do something or something is going to happen in the future. Let's look at an example sentence. So let's look at this sentence. I will go to the store. In this and all the examples to follow, I'm going to try to have the verb or adjective in blue and the tense particles in red. So to make this statement in Myanmar, you would say, Jano Sango Tua Me. Now, as with all sentences, the verb go is at the end. And the final particle, me, means you will go at some time in the future. Now, that really covers the basics of future tense. But what I'm going to cover in the rest of this lesson was really a little more difficult for me to grasp, so I'm going to try to break it down as simply as I can. But you've learned the basics here. So for instance, when someone says that they're going to do something, there's always a question about how quickly they're going to do it. So when my son says he'll take the trash out, there's a good chance it isn't going to happen anytime soon. But in Myanmar, there's a way to indicate that something will be done soon without actually using the word for soon. Let me show you what I mean. So when you're going to do something or something is going to happen in the near future, you can attach another helper particle to the final particle me. And that particle is do or do. Now in this usage, it can't be used without the final particle me. It has to be attached to it. So let's look at 3 examples where we might use it with a verb. To say, I will come, and I'm going to do it soon, I would say, la do me. Or to say, I'll go, toi do me. Or to say I'll eat, sa do me. Now, by adding this particle, you're saying you're going to do something very soon, if not immediately, which is what I would have wanted my son to say when I asked him to take out the trash. Now, just a note, in fact, that phrase, Tuaro me is sometimes referred to as the closest you can come to saying goodbye in Myanmar. There's really no word for it, but by saying I'm going now, it accomplishes basically the same thing. So let's look at this with the first sentence that we used. So by combining these two particles, I'm now saying that I'm going to do something very soon. So when I say, I will go to the store, and I use these two particles, I'm indicating that it's something that I'm going to do right away, if not immediately. So to say it in Myanmar, I would say, Jino sango tuaro me. Now we still use the same verb, but this particle combination indicates it's just about to happen. Again, in the way of review from our lesson on affirmative particle, you learned that adjectives are handled the same way as verbs. So statements like, he is tired, he's hungry, it is hot. Those are adjectives. Those are words to describe people, places, or things. And they too have to have a final particle attached. So in most cases where we see the affirmative particle attached, we can just switch out the final particle, te or de, and replace it with me. So here we want to see how to use a future tense particle with adjectives. So we could look at statements like, he will be tired, he will be hungry, it will be hot. So let's examine those one at a time. He will be tired. Instead of the te final particle, we have me. Tuga bimbam me. He will be tired. In the second one, tuga baisa me. He will be hungry. Basically, we've done the same thing. But now in the phrase, it will be hot, it reads, Pule me. So the question is, why did we add this additional particle? Why couldn't we just say, Pume? Well, let me explain. So here's the particle combination we're going to talk about. It's pronounced lein. Now I know that's a pretty confusing heading I have on this page. Future tense particle, expectation without intent. So let me try to explain it with a few examples. It will be hot, visitors will come, he will be sad. So our first sentence, it will be hot. Pule me. Now, this is not something you're going to do or be, but you expect it to happen because you saw the forecast, or you just know that this time of year it's hot. You don't intend for it to happen, and it's going to happen regardless of whether you want it to or not. So that's one kind of sentence where this particle combination could be used. Let's look at another example. Ede la me. Visitors will come, or visitors are coming. So you invited some friends to come and visit. They told you they're coming, but you're really not sure when. You expect them to arrive. You're sure it's going to happen, but you don't really have any control over it. So this could be a place where you would use that combination. Now in our third example, I've selected really just part of a statement. Tuga wane dwale me. He will become sad. Someone is about to receive some bad news, and you know it's going to make him sad. He certainly didn't intend to become sad. You don't intend for him to become sad, but you definitely expect that he will. Now, sometimes when using adjectives like the ones that we've already discussed, being tired or hungry, people might also use this particle combination, but you don't have to. I really consider this a nuance to the language, but I wanted to include it so you understand it when you hear it. I still haven't mastered when I should use it or not, so don't worry too much about it. The last thing I talked about in my lesson on the affirmative particle was the kind of statement that identifies someone or something as a noun. So for example, he is a teacher. That is a new school. In this kind of sentence, and I'll call it an is a noun sentence, you have to add the word for to be, which is pit, followed by the final particle te, pitte. So let's look at both those statements. Tuga seya pitte, he is a teacher. And edaga jao ate pitte, that is a new school. So how do you turn these into future tense sentences? So to turn an is a noun sentence into a future event, you retain this verb pit, but instead of using the te final particle, you use lein. So here are the two examples. He will be the teacher. That will be a new school. So to say that, tuga siya pile, he will be the teacher. Or eraga jao ate pile, that will be a school. So these are events that you expect to happen based on some knowledge you've obtained, but it's not really as a result of any intent on your part. Now again, don't fret over all these details. The main point of this lesson to remember is that anything you do or that will happen in the future is going to end with the particle me. And if you don't get the other particles added, it's very likely you will still be understood. In review then, the most important thing to remember in this lesson is that the final particle, me, indicates that you're going to do something or something is going to happen in the future. Now, if something is about to happen or you're about to do something in the near future immediately, you can add this particle, do or do, but it has to be combined with that final particle, me. Lastly, if you expect that something's going to happen, but it's not really as a result of your intent, you can add the particle lein before the final particle. But again, me is always going to be the final particle in a future tense statement. And that finishes this lesson.